They're like my favorite podcast to listen to.
Get a sound check.
All right.
Yeah!
Yeah, you're laughing all over this thing.
Dude, I love them.
Here we go! It's the Tryforce.
You know, I really want to give it to Capcom. They are a ballsy company releasing the Resident Evil 3 remake in the middle of a fucking pandemic. I really have to applaud them. This is definitely going to be the next logical step in the coronavirus outbreak, so, I mean, I'm just waiting for it. We all knew it was going to come eventually, and now at least we have some kind of a guidebook on how to handle it. But yeah, man, Resident Evil is, God, I love this fucking game, man. I can't wait to talk about it. Hi, I'm Colton.
I'm Zach.
I'm Rain.
And we're here talking about some Zambos.
Right, some zombies. So this is definitely one of the bigger names in the zombie game genre, would you say?
Yes, definitely one of the heaviest hitters ever. Like this, Left 4 Dead, and I think that's. Can you give me another one? Like,
I mean, other than COD zombies, other than like a Dead Island, I can't really.
Oh, Dead Island!
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, that's the only one that I can really remember. I'm sure, obviously I was a big fan when I used to go to the arcade when I was a kid. I was a big fan of the House of the Dead games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really upset that they never got their console port, really. I really feel like they could probably have actually given them a script and some actors, and it would have been fine.
Well, it's actually really funny. Resident Evil had a version of that that came to the consoles. It was called Umbrella Chronicles, and it was like a rail shooter, like an arcade thing. It was pretty cool. But we're not talking about that one. We're talking about Tree. That's the one that came out recently, and it's a remake of the 1999 game Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Oh, God, I love... This is one of my favorite Resident Evils just because of fucking Nemesis. Honestly, stars. And we've been watching some playthroughs of it. I don't actually own the game, but I've been watching a lot of people play it, and it looks so beautiful, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it and just blast through the game. It looks so hard to play.
Yeah, it really feels like it really feels as though it's it kind of gives me the same feeling that the Halo Master Chief Collection did when they remastered Halo 2. I'm like, oh, okay, these are wildly different experiences now. And they updated Jill Valentine, who's the main heroine of that.
Gave her actual clothes that a real person would wear.
Right. So I think that it's a good update.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a pretty update. I could see every single hair in Carlos's beard. But it looks so good. It plays so good. The zombies are so fucking hard to hit. And the crazy new zombies, or the upgraded zombies, or the monsters, I'd even say, look so disgusting and real, and I'm so fucking here for it, man. I never thought I would want to see a Licker in HD, but here we are. It's just they're so nice, and it's such a beautifully done game. So let's talk about it.
I didn't know that you were this into it. I'm not gonna lie.
So into it. This is one of my favorite genres of gaming. Just this this is gonna sound so shitty. This a pandemic bio outbreak type of game, like a zombie outbreak game, is one of my favorite genres of video games, and it just kind of sucks that it came out now. But oh well, we're here for it. So yeah, I mean, Zach, why don't you talk a little bit about, what you think of the game, what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I've only been watching a little bit of playthrough on it. And it's, it seems that it's, kind of at least homaging to its initial, UI. A lot of the controls seem to be the same. There's that quick step that you can use because zombies kind of thrash out at you, and then they'll hit you, and then for whatever reason you're fine. You don't turn into a zombie, even though Jill Valentine gets bit a bunch. Carlos gets bit a bunch.
There's some things about that I don't want to talk about because it's spoilery, and this is like a no spoilers type podcast.
Yeah, I can tell that a lot of it is there's not only a lot of there's some good kind of third person shooter concept to it. There's a lot of crafting. You have to worry about your inventory space, how much you can carry with you. There's obviously little secrets and little items you can pick up for those that are in the know, and the guy that I'm watching is like super into the know, and he knows where everything is and what items are in what boxes and such. So and what he has to do to get one of those extra hip pouches.
Yeah, man.
But I have very, very little exposure to Resident Evil, except for the next one that we're not talking about currently. But I think that I'm going to be honest with you. It might be one of my post-pandemic video game purchases. It really looks nice. I think that I love a zombie game. Oh, Colton, that's the one I just remembered the one I was thinking of. It's Dead Rising.
Oh, yeah, got it. Okay.
Dead Rising is the other one. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with those games.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, not really a whole lot of experience.
I love that. It's just... You're going to love this game because if you love Nemesis, you're going to love this. Nemesis goes through like a bunch of different changes, and I think you're going to love every single one. But Rain, have you seen anything about this crazy bananas game yet?
So I remember, I think my older brother had the original, the original Resident Evil 3. So I remember that, and I remember watching the trailer for the remake and being like, oh, wow, that looks really good. And I didn't pick it up.
Well, the original, it pretty...
For Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah. So, but I've played every, other Resident Evil game that came out after. So from 4 to 7, I got you. Yeah. But other than that, I know some of the things from Resident Evil 3, just from, my brothers being obsessed with, this series, but I don't know. 3 I was never super into it at that point, So, when they were like, oh, Resident Evil 2 they remade, and then 3 they remade, I'm just like, okay, but what about Resident Evil 4? We should remake it again.
How many times would this be?
I think this would be the 3rd remake.
This is the Skyrim of Resident Evil. It's just...
The remake of 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they I don't know if they remade it or if they just did a remaster of it.
Yeah, I think they remastered it.
I'd pick up a 4 remaster.
Valid. But I do know some things about 3 due to things that happen later on in this series. So I don't want to be all spoilery.
Right.
I don't want to spoil things, but stuff about Jill I know because of things that happened in Resident Evil 5.
I was just about to say.
So it's the connections are all there. I just never played it.
Yeah, I mean, you actually see the event that allows that to transpire in Resident Evil 3, and it's kind of fucked up in this game. So, but especially to see it in grueling HD. So I guess we'll talk about kind of the general plot of Resident Evil 3 without trying to get too spoilery. As you can guess, it's a game about Zambos. It's a zombie apocalypse type game caused by an outbreak of something called the T virus, created by the pharmaceutical company the Umbrella Corporation. It was kind of released into Raccoon City on accident. I'm going to throw air quotes up. You can't really see that, but we're just going to say it's an accident and not tell you the, major.
You got to give it the Dr. Evil. It was an accident.
Yes. It's one of those.
But there seems to be what I didn't know about Umbrella before I started watching this was that they have kind of their own little police / strike force as well, but the main kind of where a lot of the main heroes of this series come from are the not only the Raccoon City Police after one Mr. Leon Kennedy, but as well this other program known as STARS.
Mm-hmm. There's a Special Tactics and Rescue Squad. So it's Brad Vickers and Jill Valentine. You see at the beginning of the game. Rest in peace, Brad. That's not really much of a spoiler. He dies in like the first chapters.
Very quickly. Very quickly.
Extremely quickly. So the game opens up with Jill just kind of chilling in her apartment, and then all of a sudden, this fucking colossal behemoth zombie with just like snarling teeth and a giant leather trench coat screaming stars at you. That's the opening sequence of the fucking game.
Yeah, it was rather intense.
I mean, that's valid.
Like, could you imagine just like chilling at home and then all of a sudden a 9-foot zombie with a rocket launcher and or flamethrower fucking bust through your wall? Great.
Yeah.
Specifically hunting you?
He actually reminds me, Nemesis actually reminds me of the mascot that the heavy metal band Iron Maiden actually uses.
Kinda, a little.
In a lot of their album art and stuff. So,
although it'd be a lot cooler if the mascot from Iron Maiden busted through my fucking wall.
I was about to say, I was about to like start running away set to Can I Play With Madness? Like I was just like hoping that would be the case, but no, Nemesis is distinctly named for being like a rampant source of fucking with Jill Valentine.
Absolutely. It's just specifically Jill Valentine and Brad Vickers. As you can probably tell, because it's saying the word stars over and over and over again, it is tasked with the elimination of the remaining stars members. So it is extremely persistent and extremely powerful. So Jill basically has to play this entire game with Nemesis trailing her at every fucking pass. So that's fun. But Brad obviously, gets dispatched by a zombie, and I believe actually he gets dispatched by Nemesis himself. So that just leaves Jill to do her thing. Then she meets up with Carlos Oliveira, a Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasures Service member, or the UBCS. And Carlos and his group, Mikhail Victor, Tyrell Patrick, and Nikolai Genoviev, I think.
Yes.
God.
He's the king of Genovia, the country in the Princess
Diaries. Am I saying that right, Rain?
I'm just going to give you a maybe. I mean, I'm definitely looking at that name, and that looks correct.
Yeah, I'm trying my hardest over here.
Yeah, well, Mikhail sounded like kind of a... Yeah, Mikhail, from what I saw, is like kind of a dick, and like that seems like kind of par for the course when it comes to like the UBCS, because they're like the jackboots of this large pharmaceutical company. So like, I didn't fuck with them starting off with this. But like this totally fine dude was like, I'm not infected, please help me.
Imagine if Bayer had a SWAT team. Like that's what these people are. It's just, you know what? We can't even confirm they don't.
Sick Russian stereotypes, Colton. Really great. Honestly,
what
way
do
to
you mean?
separate. No, the Russians have always been described as bears. There was a very famous political cartoon.
I said, no. I said Bayer, like the pharmaceutical company.
Bayer?
Bayer.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Sorry, forgive me for not hearing you correctly on that. Something that's pronounced literally the exact fucking same. Yeah, sorry, I didn't expect you to bust out Ben Gay on me. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Which would be a great mercenary name.
We love Quarren content. It's always so streamlined. Yeah, but he seems like kind of a dick. That guy was fine, and he's like, please help me, and he just shot him in the head, and he's like, he would have turned. He's a zombie. I don't know how you feel, like, I don't know if that would get me killed in a situation like this, where I'd be like, no, I want to help this person, but, I was pro-Jill on that.
I was very pro-Jill on that, too. It's just like...
But that's not the only person you can play as, because Jill has this kind of, this person that they run into, the Carlos, and he is like a little bit more embroiled in all of that military bureaucracy stuff. And I liked Carlos. He was funny. A lot of his lines were funny. He seems to be like kind of like one of those tongue-in-cheek characters, which I love a lot.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he definitely provided a lot of much-needed comic relief to the situation. but he is in his own right. He is a fantastic fighter, and like when you get to is it a spoiler to say you get to play as Carlos? Because the Resident Evil.
I did just say it. So,
yeah, well, I was just thinking. I was thinking as you said it. Like, is it a spoiler? But there's a dynamic to Resident Evil. You get to play as one of two characters. You know, so it's like a on and off thing.
Is that across games though? Because I know that there's like Leon and Ada, right, in some games, right? Rain, correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct. I believe Leon and Ada are in 2, 4, and 6.
All right.
So.
Word. He doesn't know nothing. He doesn't know nothing, guys.
But yeah, there's always like a double main character situation going on. So Carlos and Jill have to basically get the subway system going, and I would like to say that Raccoon City is super analogous to New York City, and the subway system is so fucking spot on for New York City. Like, the subways look exactly the same, the trains look exactly the same, and the stations look exactly the same. So, and they are just as slow and they are just as inconvenient, according to Carlos. So, which is good. I think that's really funny. But one of the biggest things you have to do is you have to get the subways up and running, because obviously the power is out, and you have to get them up and evacuate civilians from the city, which they managed to do, which they managed to get the subway up and running. But I guess I don't really know if I could tell you the outcome without spoiling it. You know what I mean?
So don't.
Yeah,
Let's not do that.
That's your main mission, and that's really all I'm going to tell you about the plot. So
what I noticed was that there was a lot of kind of you get an item that's like key, and you can use it over and over again. Like obviously you have to keep track of your inventory space, and there's like little stash boxes where you can put items that you're not particularly using in the moment.
Yeah.
But I did like that the lockpick, as far as I've seen so far, doesn't break, because like I'm used to like Fallout and Skyrim, where like if you fuck up, the lockpick breaks, and I'm like, God damn it, or like BioShock Infinite, like a lot of that, the lockpicks, like you have to spend a certain amount of them. So I can appreciate that function at least.
Yeah, it is really, really helpful, especially, I think it's just because, in Fallout, you're not dealing with the constant fucking threat of zombies everywhere, that like to have a breaking lockpick mechanic would be just the worst. It's like, I don't know why. I mean, in Fallout, I'm sure the resources are much more abundant,
You'd be surprised.
I mean,
I was going to say, are you sure about that?
I'm kind of like,
surprised.
I'm speculating, but in Resident Evil, the resources are very scarce, and it's very, very hard to find stuff unless they put a lot more lockpicks in.
A lot of herbs growing everywhere.
Yeah, so. I definitely do appreciate that, because, without them, you'd literally die. But yeah, so let's see. What else can we talk about with this game? We can
talk about the random nemesis attacks.
We could talk about the random nemesis attacks. God, they're fun.
We can talk about how annoyingly slow Jill Valentine is.
Yeah, I mean, can you even say that Jill is that slow, or?
I was watching these two guys play it, and they were running away from Nemesis, and he's just punching you in the back, just absolutely destroying you from behind. And Jill is just in a light jog. She's just, just out for a quick power walk. And I'm like, could you move with a little oomph, please? Like, I don't know if there's a run button they don't know about, but the guy seems to be relatively knowledgeable about the video game. So I would imagine if he knew he could run, he probably would.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that would, but then again, there's not really a lot you can do when Nemesis is chasing you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if you're
it's called run.
Yeah, I guess
than jogging.
I guess so, but
Like if your hands are out to your side in like a kind of little velociraptor like sense, like you're not running, like you're like you're just like on a leisurely jog. There was a video that came out a long time ago. It was like very memeable. It was everywhere where the woman was prancer-sizing. Is anybody remembering this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's literally how. That's how Jill Valentine runs to me. Is just a nice prancer size, and I'm like, could you move with some sort of speed? But yeah, I mean, I'd imagine sometimes there are parts of either like those creepy zombies that like put. This is going to be a little gross for the folks at home, so I just want to warn ahead of time. There's like those zombie enemies that like put an egg in your throat.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. Those little like spider creatures.
Yeah, the spider ones. Yeah. And when you have the spider baby in you, I guess you like move really slowly, and you have to heal in order to like and like throw it up and get it out. So yeah, like I remember them talking. It's like, no, I have to spend a healing item because I'm going to be too slow. And so there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind. It seems.
Oh yeah, it's like it's everything in that game has like a residual effect, except for surprisingly just regular zombie bites. And then if they don't have a residual effect, they're usually special monsters that just attack and attack and attack relentlessly. So you really have to be up and really perceive your environment very clearly. You have to be looking after every corner. You have to be looking around every corner and looking down every hallway, checking every blind spot you possibly can. Otherwise, you are going to get mauled. And that's kind of what I like about this game. Like I think we're watching the same playthrough actually, because they were just coming up through a hospital, and it's dark. There's just like corridor after corridor after corridor, and after every corner, there's like a zombie just waiting in a shadow, and it just bites you. You just don't even see it, Yeah. And that's what I kind of love about this game. It's so difficult to get, like, it kind of gives you a feeling a little bit of like, what this would realistically be like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't do well in this. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. As much as I like to think I would, seeing how difficult it is to hit the head of a zombie, I think I would just have to, use a bat. I think I'd be fine with a bat. So I'd last 25 minutes and I think I'd be good. So
yeah, I'm going to give myself a cold 10 minutes before I shuffle off this mortal coil. Before one of you has to shoot me in the head in 20 in-game minutes.
I'm like, can we talk about some of the monsters that we've seen in this this beautiful game? I definitely want to talk about the Licker, which is they are a tried and true Resident Evil creature. They are just these, like, imagine if you turned a person inside out and, just gave him a super long tongue. It is fucking awful, and it is so terrible to look at, but they are so cool looking in this game. And I really love how they stayed true to the original design, and they really didn't deviate too much from it. It just looks so good.
I'm going to look up some original Resident Evil 3 graphics.
Yeah, they were... You remember Lara Croft in N64?
Oh, no, is it that bad?
It's not that bad. It's like, imagine if that got an HD remake in 2002. Oh,
yeah, it's pretty decently bad. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, okay. It's a little bit, like... It's a little blocky, but
it definitely is.
A little?
Yeah.
A little blocky?
A little bit blocky. I mean, but we're also in 2020. This game came out in what? Fucking 2000. This game came out in 1999, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
definitely a little blocky in Bullwinkle for sure. I can definitely see a lot more detail now, which I can appreciate, but I don't really appreciate it on the Lickers.
No.
Simply for the brain. I don't know what it is. A lot of exposed brain stuff, I'm not into that. Like, I can handle guts and viscera and, like, the general gut region of things, because I've seen that 1,000 times. I just don't know how the exposed brain stuff, thanks. I'm cool.
I think it's really cool because it's like, it's something unique to Resident Evil. You don't really see shit like that. And you get that in other monsters too. With Nemesis, you get to see some kind of pulsating body parts in some specific fights. But it's really cool to see just the creativity. This is, so fucked up, but it's really cool to see the creativity that the designers had with these characters or with these monsters, because it's just like, it's a fucking Cronenberg nightmare, and they really did take this concept of just mangling horrific combinations of animals and just say, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna have some fun with it. And they had some fun, and it shows. So I do want to talk about the fucking little fish monster, the fish monsters.
I haven't. Is that the ones in the sewers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw.
God, they are.
They didn't really look like fish to me, but like whatever. You know, they're all very.
Imagine a sunfish with legs, and you just blew
very
it up.
Lovecraftian looking, definitely.
Yeah.
It's got that like four level jaw, very, Demogorgon from Stranger Things looking. It opens in 4 directions, which I'm definitely cool without seeing that.
Yeah, they are fucking terror creatures. And there's another one, actually, one of my favorite Resident Evil monsters ever, the Hunters, which we actually see in this game. They're basically just like, the origin of the Hunters are like a reptile and human embryo were
Gross.
bonded together with the T-virus.
Gross.
And that's what they turned into. And they are so fucking cool looking, because they're not like the Licker, where they're just horrible gore creatures. They're not like the fish monster, where they look horribly mutated. These look like complete creatures, and they actually look clean, which is pretty fucking cool for a game like this. It's really weird out of nowhere, but they are amazing creatures, and they are so terrible to fight because they have like face armor and everything, and it's just Oh
yeah, I can see. Yeah, they've got kind of like a killer croc dog looking.
Killer croc. That's a perfect way to describe it. But I love them. Hate fighting them. Love seeing them like in action. So, I mean, we could talk about this for days, but we're already at the fucking 30-minute mark here. So, I think...
Look at that. Look at us, guys.
Yeah, for real.
Good for us.
Look at this. We sound like we know what we're talking about.
We finally sound like we know what we're talking about.
Oh, my God.
There was a boss in the original, and I think they brought it to 3, the remake, if I'm remembering correctly, but I think his name was Gravedigger, and in 3, it looks fucking weird. Like in the original, if you look it up, it is so blocky and weird, and I'm like, I can't wait to see how that looks in HD.
Yeah, I got to take a look at that, because I don't remember I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
it is a giant plant-looking thing.
Oh, I do know this one. Oh, this is so cool. Like, oh man, I did love this. I really love how they actually did expand the T-virus into plant life, which was fucking nuts. So that's another cool thing. I just kind of love this bio-experimentation concept. And it's just a worm. It's a worm plant. And it looks amazing,
I feel like this podcast is going to land Colton on a government watch list that he's not currently on. I feel like several of his Google searches has landed him there, but...
All right, listen, guys. You and I both know I am not smart enough to start anything like this.
I want Rain I want to hear Rain's on this thoroughly, please.
You're gonna tell me that Colton is not already on a government watch?
Yeah, I said one of the ones that he's not on already. Like, he's gonna definitely... He's like, hey, can we call up...
One.
Yeah, he's like, hey, can we call up the very likely to bio-experiment tab for this one? He's like, yeah, sure, I'll add it to the file.
Colton's FBI agent is just like...
Yeah, my NSA...
Boss, he's up to it again.
My NSA agent is literally like, oh, and that's another one? I almost have bingo. if he starts talking about eco-terrorism, I get a prize.
There it is. There he is.
But oh my god, I just love, like, I love it because it's a fantasy game. You know, I love it because it's not real, and that's the perfect place for stuff like this, is not in reality. So it's just a cool looking game, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So we're talking about 3, and we know, because the Resident Evil series is being remade, inevitably what is going to happen in the chronology of the series. We're going to get Resident Evil 4 for the 85th time, and honestly, I'm kind of here for it.
I'm going to get it, probably, yeah.
I really did love 4. Rain and Zach, you guys both know 4
I do.
a lot more than 3, and I just want to hear you guys gush about this, because I loved this game as well. It was one of the games of my childhood. I remember vividly sitting in my friend's basement at like 2 a.m. playing Resident Evil 4, and it was a terrible idea because, you know, we were like, I guess 13, 14 playing this game, and I didn't sleep for days. So let's talk about it.
I have very limited exposure to this game. I definitely played it while it was on the Wii.
Yeah.
There was a Wii port for it. So I played the Wii port, and you play as the rich homie himself, Mr. Leon S. Kennedy, who is a very, very prominent figure in the Resident Evil universe. And there's someone you need to take care of who gets a lot of flack in the community, but I find to be a perfectly fine character. But there was you had to not only worry about yourself, but you also have to worry about the president's daughter, Ashley. Yeah, so whatever. Look, a lot of people like to hate on Ashley, but I think that she was a very simple AI. I think that a lot of people just didn't want to have to think about Ashley, which is their prerogative, I suppose. But you can ask her to stay in a certain location, or you can ask her to follow you. Which is obviously, as Leon, you'd be like, stay back here where it's safe, go up, kill the zombies, come back for Ashley. But there was also, you could put her in barrels, you could put her in dumpsters, you could put her in closets. Yeah, you could put her in these places where the zombies wouldn't fuck with her. And the thing is, if you... I'm actually looking at the Resident Evil wiki right now, and it says, you know how there's sometimes, characters will be quoted at the beginning of their wiki articles? Ashley's top quote is, "Leon, help," a common plea from Ashley.
Yep.
Because if you take your eyes off Ashley for even a second, you get a little timer that starts, and it's like Ashley's being captured or whatever, and the zombies will literally drag her off. So a lot of people didn't really like that, probably killed Ashley a bunch of times, but I played long enough, and this is pretty much the end of my... anything else I would have to read about, but I played long enough to unlock a knight's armor for her. And when she was in the knight's armor, she was too heavy to lift, so the zombies physically couldn't lift her. So the only other thing I remember about this game is that there was a Spanish cult, and that's it.
Was this the one with the Ouroboros?
Los Iluminados.
Ah.
Technically, yeah, I think it's the start of the Ouroboros. So it's a mind-controlling parasite, literally just known as the plague. That's all they called it, and that's what it was. If you, just to go off of what Zach was saying about that armor, if you get the armor, Ashley is literally invincible. I shot her with a rocket launcher, and she lived, so...
Oh, it was Las Plagas, that's what it was.
Well, you gotta love that European plate. Those blacksmiths, they really knew what they were doing.
They got them.
I say bring it back. We need that in modern times.
Thoroughly agreed.
Absolutely. Zach, would you and I go into a modern day blacksmith?
You don't have to ask the rest of the question. I would obviously buy armor. That's insane. What are you talking about?
We need to take a trip to a blacksmith, like a legit blacksmith in this country.
A custom mortar.
Oh man.
Okay.
This was also one of the fucking craziest games I have ever seen. And you know, I don't know if we could talk too much about this without, you know, spoiling it either. But it would probably be less egregious to spoil this one considering it's been out for so long. But this has some of my favorite characters in it. This has Louis Serra, one of my favorites, Albert Wesker, the OG. Like he's like evil Duke Nukem, and I'm so here for it. Jack Krauser's pretty cool. Obviously Ada Wong and Leon are the goats. And then then we have some of the craziest monsters ever in this game, and including my least favorite of all time. So I guess we'll get into the Critterpedia of RE4 if you want to talk about the story.
Oh god.
There's a lot of things that happen in Resident Evil 4, and a lot of like critters and shit that are like fucking ooh.
Is this the one with the Neptunes too?
The Neptunes?
Yeah. The Neptune monsters.
We're talking monsters? I'm on the characters page on the wiki. Excuse me. I just totally forgot about Ramon Salazar. Literally one of the strangest villains of all time.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Resident Evil 4 does have some like the Neptune thing. I know what you're talking about.
Oh god, fuck that.
That is honestly one of my favorite.
Oh, I could imagine. Holy shit.
Things like that.
Like I just remember there's this one. I mean, this we really explored like the Titan T-types, you know, because this was after Resident Evil 3 when we found out that Nemesis is, you know, one of those. We got more variations of it, and I believe one of the variations, I don't know if it's a Titan type, but it looks like one, and I'm not here for it. The Regenerators?
Yes, that is one of the only other things I know.
They are the fucking worst. And I was up for days after seeing those. They are terrible. They are just... it's like they're too real, but they're just like outside of real enough. Does that make sense? Where like,
oh yeah, oh my god, ooh, I haven't seen one of these in a while.
Yeah, and
bad time to say how much I really enjoy the Regenerators.
Oh come on! I just
Okay.
Tell us why. Tell us why, Rain.
Okay, so this is like such a personal thing for me. Is I really enjoy like games like this because I like the creatures and I like all of the zombies and monsters and stuff. So like I remember watching my brother play through this game, and this is like his favorite game. He can beat this thing with his eyes closed probably. And I remember seeing the Regenerators and him going, I fucking hate these things, and me just being like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It's so creepy. You shoot it, and if you don't have the special weapon like item for the weapon, you don't know where to shoot it. I'm like, this is great. You can't just power through this except for if you have a rocket launcher. Amazing. 100 out of 10.
But like
a great monster.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to that, yeah, they are pretty cool. But I just hate that they throw them at you in these narrow fucking hallways and just they skeeve me out, man. Like they're just
I'm looking on the wiki, and they're actually billed at 7 foot 5 inches, so they're like 3 inches. So they're like 3 inches shorter than Colton.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely make him a little bit uneasy.
Oh god, they are nightmares, and like they're like just real enough where that could happen, you know, where I could see that actually happening in real life. And that's where I don't enjoy.
He draws the line.
That's where the line comes in for me, and it's just. But anyway, we could talk about Resident Evil 4. Do you guys want a remake on
yes.
like? Okie doke. Point of order, check. Next thing on my list.
Yeah, if they could get even better graphics, why not? Screw it.
Now, is there anything you change?
Rain has something to say?
Okay, here's my one thing about wanting a remake of this game. Resident Evil 4, if you haven't played it, has such B-movie level humor in it. Like, there is a part where one of the main bad guys, they can communicate with you through like a comm, and he's like, well, I sent my right hand to take care of you, and Leon just goes, your right hand comes off. And I'm like, if this is not in the remake, it's not. I can't play it. Like, I need this stupid B-level humor to be in this game.
Yeah, Leon was definitely one of the smartest people in the Resident Evil franchise, and simultaneously one of the dumbest. Like, I think that was so fucking awesome.
We appreciate Leon S. Kennedy in this house.
We do.
Okay.
He definitely has big himbo energy, and it really does show and shit like that.
Oh my fucking god. Himbos.
But I would love that to come back. I know some pretty good lines from Jill in Resident Evil 3 when you see Nemesis fucking fly over a dock and just land in the water. She's like, bitch can't even swim. And I just love that. Like, it just makes me so happy. But I think that it's needed. It's needed in a game like this because, you know, when you're faced like with the plague and just this Spanish death cult and regenerators, it's fun. It's fun for that a little bit every now and again. You know?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm just like I just can't get over a lot of there's a lot of suspension of disbelief that obviously needs to happen when you're talking about the end of the world. But like there's a lot of things where I'm like, okay, if this was correct, like, you know, like this obviously wouldn't be going down this way. But I think that there's a lot of things that where they can make it realistic, they manage to do so in a pretty good way.
Yeah, it was so clean and so beautifully done, and I would absolutely love to play it.
Now, you asked if in a remake is there anything we would change?
Yes, I did, because there's like, you know, in Resident Evil 3, they didn't really change much with the play style because it's, you know, it was pretty good as it is, but usually in remasters and stuff like that, they take out more tedious things or just fix little mechanics or streamline some stuff. Is there anything in Resident Evil 4 that you would change?
I would make the quick time events actually work.
Oh, yeah. By the way, that in Resident Evil 3, too. They did not fix that.
But, like, I don't know, Zach, I don't know if you remember, there's a part in Resident Evil 4, and I think it happens multiple fucking times, but you'll be, like, walking, and they're not really zombies in Resident Evil 4. They're a cult with just the mind plague.
Right.
So the guys are on top of that cliff and they push a boulder down.
Oh, yeah. Like the random traps and shit that I have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that quick time event, like, never works on the first try.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, if I had to fix it, and there's one monster I would get rid of in Resident Evil 4, and I think I'd be golden.
And that would be?
The Iron Maiden.
Oh, curiously, another form of regenerator.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's because, like, we already have the regenerator, and then they were like, oh, we added the Iron Maiden, and I was just kind of like, oh.
Yeah, just add some fucking spikes onto it. It's done. You know, it's different.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things where I was like, all right, we're doing this again.
Oh,
yeah.
But then again, there's also Chainsaw Man and Giant Chainsaw Man.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't stand the chainsaw, guys. I think that would be what I would get rid of. I know, obviously you couldn't.
I'm sorry, there's Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Sisters, and then Giant Chainsaw Man.
The Giant Chainsaw Man.
Three.
I could be without. I could definitely be without the large Chainsaw Man from R4. I'm not into that shit.
Yeah, he was a time.
So large. And like just seeing Leon, like when he actually like got to you and like started to cut into your body, I'm like, oh wow. I felt bad for Leon Kennedy, like when I would screw up enough for this man to chop me in half. But I mean, I liked RE4 just because of I don't remember exactly how well or culturally sensitive it was done, but part of my family comes from Spain, so I was able to actually for the first time, I was obviously a younger person and actually learning Spanish, so there was a lot of Spanish words and Spanish things I was able to pick out. Oh, plaga means plague, I was able to pick out Los Illuminados is the illuminate, the ones who are, probably they whole thing is that they were bringing light to the world. They were kind of ushering in a new form of life. So, I thought it was cool. I would probably get rid of, I would probably make the merchant NPC show up a little bit more. That dude who's always what are you buying? What are you selling?
Oh my god,
that
I
guy?
love him. We love that guy here.
I loved him too. I especially loved getting items from him that I needed, and he was very, very few and far between for me. I don't think he showed up enough. And I was I am very low on everything.
You know what I just remembered?
Yes, you can, Rain.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to tell a story about the merchant.
Yeah,
it's actually very important to Zach's point.
It is.
Do you know what would happen if you shot the merchant?
Nothing,
have you ever done
right?
that? No, okay. So you can actually kill the merchant.
No way! Oh my god.
So if you shoot him, or you could collect eggs in this game. So you get a rotten egg, and it would do damage or kill an enemy. So if you threw a rotten egg, or you shot or stabbed the merchant, he would never come back. He would be dead for the rest of the game.
I might have just murdered the merchant, guys. I might have just been where the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, so he showed up I think once or twice, maybe every chapter.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But I remember my brother being yeah, you can kill him and then just never have the merchant again, and I was oh, but I like him. He asks me what I'm buying and then lets me upgrade my space so I can carry around more shotgun shells.
Absolutely. Definitely necessary. Definitely necessary.
So I just... Little bit of trivia there. You could literally kill him and then fuck yourself over.
Wasn't he also, infected as well?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
He was just there.
Yeah, I think so. I was just remembering another monster that I fucking hated from Resident Evil 4. Do you remember the Verdugos?
I like them.
Oh, they're just
I'm a nightmare.
bug
No one can
people.
talk to me about creepy enemies because I'm just I like them. I think they're cool.
I mean, they're cool looking, but fuck me, man. They are so hard to deal with.
You are correct, Colton.
Yeah.
The merchant is a ganado.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember that name.
Which are a victim of the regressive plaga species genetically engineered by Los Illuminados. The word is derived from the Spanish word ganado, which means livestock.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yeah, so that's him. That's his whole deal. But there's another whole different merchant character in the iPhone game Resident Evil Degeneration.
We don't need to think about that.
But
remember the movie?
It's nobody knows how the merchant gets his weapons, but his selection is enough to impress even Leon. Very good at his trade, flattering the buyer with phrases like "the choice of an avid gun collector" and "you'll need guts to buy that weapon."
Oh my god, it's so
my bad.
corny.
Yeah, I don't know if I would change much about RE4. I didn't play it long enough to really have too many complaints about it, but I did give it the old college try.
So in Resident Evil 4, right? I don't, Zach, because you said you didn't play that long. I don't know if you ever got to this. Did you ever
Go
get
for
to
it.
The mercenaries? Did you ever get to that?
I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, so go on.
So after you beat the game, you can unlock this thing called the mercenaries, and
Definitely not then. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So the mercenaries was almost like a DLC kind of thing, but it was just after you beat it, and you would go through all of these levels, and you could either play as Leon or Ada, which is the only one I would play as.
Right.
But you got Krauser, Hunk, who I really like. He's like a melee kind of guy, and I enjoy punching people, and Albert Wesker. And you could like go through playing as all of them. And you got different things based on who you played as, and the levels were timed, so it was how long you could like fight off the zombies for and stuff like that. Reminding me of how shitty I am at games like this, but you know.
Well, when you
It'd
played
be
as
that
Wesker, Wesker was fucking overpowered.
Yeah, see, I would play as Ada because I love
Ada.
Well, I cosplay Ada, so why wouldn't I play as Ada? But my thing with Ada was Ada didn't have a knife.
Oh,
And
really?
Yeah, she didn't have a knife. She didn't have a knife until later ports in the game. So when it came back out on like PS4 and the Wii, she got a knife. But I liked playing as Ada because she's faster than Leon, and she gets, I think, a little bit more items than Leon.
Yeah, didn't they like? Sorry, go on.
She gets a rifle, and that's probably why I like playing as her, because anything that gets a sniper rifle is immediately top tier in my book.
Yeah, a sniper rifle would definitely be something that is very useful against these fucking things. I hate when you, like, shoot them in the head and the little, like, arm comes out. Like,
Or it looks like a little flower. I like that.
I'm really not a huge fan of that. Like, I don't know why I don't draw the line at the liquor, but I draw the line at that. You know?
There's a lot of hills that you die on that are very interesting.
Yeah, like I have a very gerrymandered perception of what I tolerate and what I don't. But like it's such a fun game, and I'd actually kind of love to see it remastered in 2020, especially with the consistent play style that we're getting now, because all the other Resident Evils they switched like perspective. From Resident Evil 3 to Resident Evil 4 when it actually started going into that third-person shooter type instead of like a room-by-room view.
Oh, yeah, like the old Resident Evil where like, the camera was fixed?
Like a Resident Evil Outbreak kind of game. They all did that until 3. So I'd kind of love to see them all with this, you know, camera follows the player view, because it's a better playing game that way. And oh god, just to see the fucking regenerators in 4K and just okay.
Jeez, man.
I'm good.
Are you sure? Are you gonna be okay?
You know what? I'll deal with it. I'll definitely deal with it.
You seem kind of at war with yourself during this podcast.
I am. I'm very.
Like, I love this. Also, I am thoroughly disgusted
because I love everything else about it, and it's just like it's one of those things where you have to take the good with the bad, but like the bad's pretty bad. So.
Right. And it is definitely Resident Evil has not been the favorite series, not the series you think of when it comes to great dialogue, if I'm remembering correctly.
Definitely not.
I used to watch this guy basically take lines from old video games and face act them, basically lip sync along with the line, but basically do a lot of gesturing and a lot of facial expressions along with it. Very funny guy, Dean's Face Acting it's called. And the one that sticks out in my head is, here's a lockpick. I think it's best that you, the master of unlocking things, should take it. I'm like, oh my god, who okayed this? Who sat in a boardroom and was like, that's it, that's the line, perfect.
People who definitely cared more about the gameplay than the actual lines.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're trying to tell like a really nice story. But like,
I think they asked the script. Like, I think they asked the developers to write the script, and that's just not something you need to do.
But as Rain mentioned, it's all very like B-level horror movie.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that might just be the point, you know. Like they definitely were like, y'all are here to just shoot things. They're aware of why you're picking up the game. I don't think at any point have I picked up a Resident Evil and went, hope the story's good. I know what I'm signing up for.
Right.
The
I don't know where this is coming
horror.
from, because I love Until Dawn, which has some of the worst dialogue in any game I've ever heard.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like, and that's a game that's fully focused on its story. So like I just find like some examples are just so bad that it's just kind of like it since I don't have a lot of experience with RE, I guess it kind of just like broad brush painted my whole perception of it.
Well, yeah, it's a game you kind of just jump into and you have fun. It's like the Pacific Rim of zombie games. You know, you're not going in there for a fantastic story. You're going in there to see the creativity of the devs.
I don't know what you're talking about, Colton. Pacific Rim was a great movie, and you're wrong for not liking it.
I will fight for Pacific Rim till the end of time. That movie was so much fucking fun, but the story was...
This is the second time you brought it up. And it is as having a bad story, and I don't agree with you.
The story was like 2 inches deep, and it was fine.
Right, okay, like, sure.
It was fine for the movie that it was, and that's what Resident Evil is. You know, the story is so convoluted and crazy that nobody pays attention to it. They're just there to kill the Zambos.
Jack's about to break quarantine to come kick your ass.
I'm about to kick his ass. Like, imagine he tries to come up with literally any sort of cohesive plot for any video game whatsoever, other than the fact that Colton Murray presents, like, Jimothy Jackrabbit, and it's just, like, some ridiculous, like, acid trip of a video game that only loosely ties together with plot. So, you know, I feel like there's a Milady doth protest too much over there.
I think I'm coming off wrong because I'm not saying that Pacific Rim had a bad story. It just wasn't a deep one. You know what I mean?
This is a Resident Evil podcast.
Yeah, I know it isn't.
I want to remind everyone that this is a podcast about Resident Evil.
Oh my god!
And here we are.
Oh, sorry. You know, this is definitely my fault. I decided to attack Colton for his views on Pacific Rim. Yeah, I think, I guess I could wonder, you know, I think Resident Evil has been around for a very long time. So for those of you that are a little bit more seasoned, I suppose, there's a lot of zombie games. Like, they kind of saturate the market. You know, obviously the big one with most people who are taking up the video game world at this point, the youngins, they like a little COD zombies. So why would somebody nowadays with a remastered Resident Evil, why should they break from the mold in order to kind of play one of these games?
Resident Evil isn't your basic zombie game, and I think that's a reason why. Resident Evil, in every single iteration of it, it's not the same thing. Yeah. So, like, if you go from 3 to 4, yeah, in 3 you have the T-virus and all of that, but when you get to 4, they're not technically zombies anymore. Then when you get to 5, there's something else, and at 6, there's something else, and in 7, it's something else. So I think it's the matter of, you can go and play, like, the Call of Duty zombies, and sure, you're just going to shoot a bunch of zombies, or you can pick up a game like Resident Evil, and each time you pick it up, like, you're, okay, this is this, this is this, this took the virus and it mutated and now it's this thing. So it takes your average zombie game and just ups the ante in it. And I think that's why everyone should pick that up.
Absolutely. It combines an actual story with a zombie game. You know, that's not something you really get with like you said, a COD Zombies or a Left 4 Dead. I mean, Left 4 Dead is kind of a story, but, you know, I don't remember the fucking story for Left 4 Dead. I just remember the characters and how fun it is to play. Yeah, that's it. There you go. But, like, Resident Evil has a fucking story to it. And, you know, you get memorable characters out of these stories, and it's crazy to see how they all tie into each other, because there's callbacks to, like, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1, all the way up until 5, you know, and you see recurring characters that come back later in the series where, God, they've been absent for 3 games. Like, what the fuck? You know, it's such a cool, franchise. You know, it's such a storied and established franchise that I feel like it did kind of kick this genre off, you know, and then once The Walking Dead came out, all these people started hopping on the zombie train, but Capcom was on the zombie train first, almost. You know?
Right. I feel like in contrast with a game like Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2, which is one of the best video games that came out for the Xbox 360. But
Easy.
I think that there's a lot more room for characterization, you know? I feel like there's a lot more room for personal stakes and personal relationships. Meanwhile, Left 4 Dead is the kind of concept is that these are four in both games. Like, these are four very different strangers that have kind of been thrown together in order to survive in this zombie apocalypse. Like, for instance, Left 4 Dead 2, my personal favorite of the two, you have Coach, who's a high school football coach, and you have Rochelle, who's like a journalist, and you have Nick, who's a mafioso, and then you have Ellis, who's just a fucking country bumpkin hick, you know, who's just one of my favorites in any video game.
Oh man, I love him. He's ridiculous. He's like if the scout was from Alabama.
Leon Kennedy, you know, you get to say the whole name, you know, you get to understand who he is. You know, Ada Wong, you get to understand that. You get to get all the juicy stuff that Umbrella Corp is up to. You know, there was no explanation in either of the Left 4 Dead games. It's like, hey, the zombie apocalypse is here. Survive. Good job.
Yeah. And, you know, you remember the name Jill Valentine. You remember Carlos Olivera. Oh, my God.
Nice. Good look. Great work.
My brain and my mouth
remembered him, huh?
Yeah. I remember him. My mouth won't let me. So you remember Carlos. You remember Jill. You remember Ada, Leon, Louise. You remember... I'm trying to remember who the protagonist was for the first ones. Because they do like recur, and I didn't play 5. It was Chris Redfield. Okay, so it was Chris and what was Claire, Chris and Claire. You know, you remember all of them, and I didn't play 5 and 6, but you know, Rain, we're going to talk about those next week because I actually do have 5, and I kind of want to pick it back up. I don't remember it being the best one, so.
It depends. There are parts of 5 that are really good and parts that aren't. But no, in 5 and 6, there are callbacks to the first few in the series, which if you ever play 6, which I don't exactly recommend doing, but there are 2 of the characters are like callbacks to like, I think the second game. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That constantly throughout the series, they're like, oh, okay, well, you remember this person? You probably don't, but we brought him back. I'm like, valid, thanks.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said before, it is such a storied and intertwined history, and, you know, it's a fun game. You know, pick it up and kill some zombos, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's desperate times out there. It's an interesting time to be a member of the world. You know, it's the first kind of big virus that we've had to deal with in a very technologically advanced time. You know, every 100 years this shit happens. So, you know, if you talk about 1720 Black Plague, you talk about 1820. They've got, you know, the something in 1920s. It was the Spanish flu, and nowadays we got ourselves the coronavirus. So I just feel like there's no better time to play it, and I feel like that's why is it Capcom?
Yeah.
Capcom probably did this, and you know that's the only reason I personally play games like Dead Rising, games like Left 4 Dead, or you know House of the Dead, whatever you got, is like on some level, you know, they're bound to get something right if it ever goes down. So like you'll have at least some sort of a base knowledge in order to do this, and I hope that you guys will indulge me in a little exercise here before we get out of here.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
What are the first 3 steps to your zombie apocalypse plan?
Oh, okay. I don't want to go first, but...
Oh, good. I've thought about this.
So am I.
Tell me. Yes.
Okay. My first step is to immediately go to Costco and barricade myself in. Whoever's in there, I will kill them for scrap parts. If I need to break his arm and use it
parts. What are you
gonna zombie, I will. Okay. You use them for distraction.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna build your own bioweapon.
No.
No, hear me out. I break in. Here, listen to me. Listen. Imagine this. We find out there's a zombie apocalypse. I break into Costco. It's 2 a.m. I've barricaded the doors. There's a janitor there. I will throw him to the wolves. If there is a zombie coming, he is the first one gone.
Oh my God.
All right.
Poor Scruffy.
Cool. All right.
Why? Because Costco has guns and stuff. All right? You barricade yourself in there. You grab the few people you trust. My family, maybe you guys, maybe my
Nice.
brother who's
Thank
played
you.
some zombie games. You know, and that's it. You continuously prepare, pack, move on. Those are my 3 steps. Prepare, pack up all your shit, and after a while, you can't stay at Costco anymore. So you move, and then you find a Walmart.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So you're just making your way down wholesale chains until such a time.
Is it
as
bad?
it's
I had a
over.
similar plan.
It's either that. It's either that, or I am going to give myself one last good day and then immediately be like somebody. There's only 2 options.
Wow. Okay.
I had a similar plan where it was just going to be Dick's Sporting Goods because there's a lot of hunting rifles, there's a lot of machetes in there's a lot of baseball bats, and I feel like knowing my personality, you can kind of glean what kind of person I am from this. I wouldn't be a good shot. Like I have the coordination.
You have very large and sausagey fingers that are not accurate.
I have the coordination of a Muppet, so I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be Mr. Sniper Shot out here. So I am going to barricade myself in with as many machetes and bats as possible, because at the end of the day, the core tenet of killing a zombie is severing the spinal cord, and if you can do that, you're good. So a bat can do that. It can crush the connection, and then obviously a machete can just cut the back of the neck open, and that's it. You're good. So you barricade yourself in a Dick's Sporting Goods, and you wait it out.
Plan.
What?
I can give you 2 good reasons why that's a foolish plan.
Oh, please.
I also was thinking of a few as well, but let the man finish, and then we'll tear him apart, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna see if he catches on to like.
We'll see.
now, because obviously that's not going to be the staying point. You're going to gather what you can. You're going to load up, and hopefully in the parking lot you can find a big vehicle that you can actually hotwire or get a hold of, and you can actually
Colton,
pile shit.
Can you
into there.
hotwire a car?
I can absolutely hotwire a car.
I honestly expected that, so okay, go on.
I've had to do it in my old car very many times. So, but it's, you can do that, and then you can pile everything into there. Just continuously move in maybe 3 days. Try and clear out as much as you can into different vehicles. Then find somewhere where you can consistently get food. This is assuming you brought food with you when you went out and to get your weapons pile. So get to a supermarket, get to a Costco, like you said before, or a Walmart, or just hole yourself up in there and get as much food as you possibly can, and get kind of like all the people that you trust, and get kind of like a convoy going. You know what I mean? So, and then make your way to the rendezvous zones, or wherever you're meeting with the military, or whatever you need to do.
All right, so that's steps 1 through 3 for you. So it seems to be get weapons, get travel, and then congregate with a lot of people and/or
Absolutely, there is safety in numbers, and that's the biggest thing. However, make sure they're numbers you trust. If there is a person trying to join your convoy, no. I'm going to go with no. I'm going to tell them how to get to the rendezvous point. I'm going to tell them what they can do to survive, but they're not coming with us. So it's...
okay.
Yeah, if it's someone I don't know, because,
on the fool point?
Oh, absolutely, on the full point.
Okay, this is my one thing, Colton. My one problem with your plan.
Uh-oh.
And my one problem with your plan is that you're going for the weapons first.
I guess
because
so.
while you're doing that, the food is going to be gone.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
why you break into a Costco or a Walmart, because Costco and Walmart have weapons and food. You're welcome.
Oh, okay.
Now that everybody knows my zombie apocalypse plan, I have to change it.
Why do you have to change? Oh, yeah, I guess so. But
because everyone's
do you
gonna
think
go
that
down
everyone's
my
first
smart
reaction
plan.
wouldn't be like a fucking BJ's or a Costco or something like that?
Yeah, yours would probably be the BJ's close to your house. I would say would probably be your best bet.
Absolutely. I'm sure they sell bats there. I could get my way through some zombies there.
I was actually going to rank on your choice of weapon, not just your choosing to get it first. I totally agree. Yes, is not a good plan. But I am also going to rank on your choice of weapon. I think there are several guns that someone could use that is not a good shot.
A shotgun.
Case in point. The shotgun.
Yeah.
Case in point, an assault rifle. You know, it's just point and shoot. Like it's just
but
not...
like, here's the thing: an assault rifle. I see your point there.
Colton, can you close one eye?
Yes, I can go. No, but listen to me.
You can fire an assault rifle.
Yes, I can.
It's
fire.
really that simple.
I could definitely fire one, but not with super efficiency. Because when you're
Can you line up sights?
I can line up sights.
Congratulations, you can fire an assault rifle.
Boy, it is not that easy. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Colton, you'd be amazed what you could do when the adrenaline's pumping.
I'm sure I would, but at the same time, I'd rather have a shotgun because it's
just a terrible idea? A fucking wooden baseball bat.
Oh no,
or
I'm not.
Aluminum baseball bat.
Don't get that close, man.
Here's the deal: you have to be very close to that zombie. That is not a good idea. And if they're crowding, what are you gonna do if they're crowding? You know, if they're crowding you, you're not gonna just batter up and knock out 3 heads at once. You're gonna choose one of them, another one's gonna grab you, then you're gonna hit it, and while you're hitting the second one, the third one's gonna bite you, and then I'm gonna have to shoot you in the head, and I don't want to do that, so stop it.
Swords.
Yeah.
Swords.
Get swords.
Swords.
My recommendation is always swords.
Great sword, long sword, as much distance as you can put between them, 30 inches of blade at
Get
least.
myself a fucking spear, just like.
I was given some very sage advice on this topic, actually. I would personally, I don't really have to worry about the acquisition of weapons because I live at home with my father, who is a weapons fanatic. So pretty much everything I need is right here. So it's pretty chill. You know, we've got explosives, we've got guns, we're fine. Like,
So
you know,
Rain,
like, we're good with that.
Is that our plan? Is that we just meet at Zach's house and then we all go?
Come through. If it actually, I'm straight up not even kidding. If you guys, you know, Costco, whatever. But you know, if you guys really, Rain, you're a little bit farther than he is. You know, obviously do what's best for you and your fam. But you know, Colton, if it actually goes down.
Zach, I could probably get to your house before Colton. I'm going to be real honest.
What do you mean?
Come through.
Colton, I love you, but you are late to like everything.
Okay,
so
listen.
Definitely get to Zach
Often late.
Before you.
Often late, this guy.
I'm pretty sure that imagine my dumb ass in a zombie apocalypse. Like, did I leave my AirPods at home?
Literally comes in with a Starbucks. Like literally would come in with a 7-Eleven coffee. This guy. But I would go for medicine first, personally. I think that medicine would be the first thing to run out. I think that, you know, you need things like gauze bandages. You need things like ibuprofen, like painkillers. You need, like, you know, antibiotics, like an anti-infection kind of style. And I think people are just going to be fist fighting in a CVS and, like, a Walgreens to get that kind of stuff, because as soon as it's gone, it's gone. As soon as somebody takes it and the drug companies are all zombies and they're not manufacturing anymore, it's out. It's over with. So, you know, I mean, I would obviously have to go through, you know, I'd have to parcel out my meds in order to, but I would obviously then have to deal with that. So I think prioritizing medicine is a good plan. So I would prioritize medicine first, and then I would fortify the shit out of my house.
Yeah.
Absolutely just nail down put planks on all the windows. My father has lumber in my garage from 1984, which I don't know why it's still there, but we could finally put it to use. Camp out as long as is possible, you know? As long as you don't, I think the main keys would be don't make a lot of noise. Because noise seems to be a big thing that attracts zombies. Like, for instance, in the Zombieland movie, they turn on an old amusement park, and like all the lights and noise kind of starts attracting them to like let them know, oh, hey, humans weren't here, but they are now probably definitely here. So I would say not making a lot of noise and keeping everything relatively dark. So like if they're looking inside, they don't see lights, anything like that. I don't know how smart these zombies are. We could go into that, but I think in order to not overthink it, I would say medicine, weapons, fortification. My family keeps a lot of food. My family keeps a lot of food in the basement. But we would eventually probably have to move on if that worked for long enough for our food supply to run out. But I would say that would be my first 3 steps.
Yeah. I just worry about a contingency plan when they announce I mean, can we say in Resident Evil 3, because the game's been out for fucking how long now? 22 years? No, yeah, about 22 years. That, let's say, God forbid, they deem Long Island uncontainable, and they're just fuck it, nuke it, then what? So
I think that we have a bonfire, and I'm gonna try LSD for the first time.
We have a bonfire and wait for the big bonfire.
My death.
Right. Just 2 of us.
Because I'm just saying, if they're gonna be nuking where we live, that no matter where you end up going, it's probably gonna end up the same.
I guess so.
I think everybody on Long Island would get into their boats and try to make it out as far away as possible.
And then I would be in Zach's backyard being like, woo!
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds playing.
I'd be having a great old time. I'd be like, where the world is ending. This is great.
Rain's touching the grass this has never felt so good before.
I kind of want Colton and I to kind of have a Watchmen moment where, when the bomb drops, the 2 of us are just embracing in each other's arms as we turn to skeletons.
I mean, that's how I pictured you 2 going out.
Absolutely.
So.
Obviously. Furiously making out as the ICBM drops.
It's just such a tender moment. One of you confesses their undying love for the other. I'm there, high off my ass, going, yes!
I love you. I know.
You guys get it. And then we all perish.
That's and I think this podcast is perished, don't you?
Absolutely. This is the end of the Tryforce podcast.
This is it. The last one. I just was trying to segue.
No, I know. This was fun. This was fun as hell, and I can't wait to eventually enact this zombie apocalypse plan with you guys, because you did say that every 100 years or so a plague comes around. Last 100 years it was the Spanish flu. This one's the coronavirus. Next one could be the T virus. So get yourself a copy of Resident Evil and prepare yourselves. Educate yourselves. Oh, yeah. This was Resident Evil.
I'm trying to figure out what the other one was. Have plagues repeated exactly every 100 years? Here's the thing. Yeah, so it's...
we'll figure that out eventually.
Pandemics that changed history. Oh, there's a pneumonia. Influenza, that's the one. Okay.
Oh, so it was just the regular flu.
Yeah. All that stuff. But thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys don't turn into zombies, but I will kill you if you do, so sorry.
Just warning you right now. Let's give our social medias out. You can follow me on Twitter at CTrain Media.
You can find me on Twitter at ZachThatWhip, at ZACH You can also find me on Instagram, my art page, at ZFormArts. That's at ZEEFormArts.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Oh No It's Rain. Both of those still having the Felix title, because I am never going to change.
Because as we established in the Animal Crossing 2 episode, that you are Fire Emblem trash, and embrace it. I love it. Now let's do our Tryforce one. You can follow us on Twitter at the Tryforce _ and on Twitch at the same handle. Still waiting on that guy.
It's been 10 years now.
It'll be the outro of every podcast until it changes.
That's true. You can follow us on Instagram at the Tryforce. That one we actually got. So
absolutely. All right, thanks guys so much. And just remember, get your zombie apocalypse plans in order. You never know when you're gonna need them.
7 minutes. 7 minutes is all
it's
it'll
going
take.
to take. Actually, we talk about that next week. That's Resident Evil 5, I think.
Yay!
Yay!
All right.
I never saw Pacific Rim.